Well, this is a bit of a treat. I'm actually chatting to Scott Moran, 6 times British Hillclimb champion, and in contention for this year's championship. Quite a big ask. We've got a couple of rounds to go. What have you got to do to win, Scott?
Well, I think I need 4 hill records out of 4 rounds, with Wallace scoring nothing, basically. So if anybody can nobble him tonight, that would be quite good. But no, it's a big ask. But yeah, it's the damage was done earlier in the year, so we're just going to see what we can do. Just hope for a bit of luck.
So anyway, you've got a rather nice car here. Graham and yourself share this car. Graham Wynn and top spec Gould, isn't it? So essentially different to Wallace's in the fact you've got a Judd in the back. So what sort of horsepower and performance do these things have?
Well, I think the Judd we haven't seen a proper data sheet for this one, but it's about 700 horsepower, weighs about 420 kilos. So it gives you a good punch in the back when you leave the line, and it carries on punching in the back all the way to the finish. So it's fantastic. I'm very privileged to be able to drive. It's Graham's pride and joy. He bought as a retirement present to himself, and he gets in it and drives it. And it was great to see last week. Had a second overall in the second run off at Loughton, and that was fantastic. For 73 years old, that's not a bad achievement. So yeah, really pleased for him.
That's an amazing achievement. Graham's a great driver, fantastic supporter of the sport. I can't imagine what it's like sitting in something like this and getting propelled up the hill at such ridiculous speeds. And of course, the braking is unbelievable as well, isn't it, to be fair? I remember last year at the rally day, you drove Dad's Skoda, which is over there. You did rather well in that. You won fastest time of the day, didn't you? Do you like driving that? How different does that feel to a single-seater?
Yeah, well, the 4-wheel drive system in the Skoda, it's a proven bit of kit, so it's just very effective, very efficient. It does the job. I was quite surprised with the times. Like last year, we came here and it's the first time I'd actually ever driven it. I was quicker up there in the dark and in the wet in November than I ever drove my little Caterham up there. So I was amazed in how good it is. But it's very different to this. In many ways, it felt very slow, but it's easy to catch you out. You jump out of one of these into one of those, and it's a very different animal. There's obviously no aero, very little aero compared to one of these. It's heavier. You sat, feels like you're sat on the roof of the thing rather than down on the floor. But no, it's brilliant. It's great fun, and I hope I'll hopefully have another go in November in it again, and maybe have a couple of guest tries in it next year and see how we fare. So,
I just want to ask you quickly. Out of all the hills you've been to over the years, you've been to loads, do you have any particular favourites and why?
Oh, crumbs! I like them all for various reasons, really. Prescott's always been a good hunting ground for me. It's quite technical and it's a tricky little place. You don't really get the performance out of these because you're only really getting it flat out up to the bridge, and then it's sort of quietly on the throttle the most of the way up. But probably Doon is, for the ultimate sort of thrill, Doon is probably my favourite out of all of them, because it's just, every time you get to the top, you have to take a deep breath and say, thank God for that. It's like an Armco barrier one side, a granite wall on the other, and it's sort of, in these, it's about 130 mile an hour through blind corners, and it's half the width of Monaco. So it's probably less than that. It's one car width. So they've had a few tin tops have done they've had a bit of an error, spun it halfway along the bottom of the track, and it's a bit of an Austin Powers to try and get it out. So it's I think Doon's probably, if I was going to say if anybody had to drive one hill once, that would be the place. So
yeah, I've not made it to Doon yet. I hope to get there next season. Everyone tells me how good it is. In fact, there's 2 rounds at Doon next year, isn't it, in the British Hillclimb Championship, which is normally there's been one at Loughton this year, so next year rather. So I just think it's great. Scott, you're an amazing competitor. 6 times champion, says a lot to me. There's not many that have done that. If any, nobody's done that, actually, I don't think. Tony Marsh. Scott, jolly good luck, old chap. Big arse, but I know you do your best. Cheers, buddy.